Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Salisa from Beautifully Me and You. And today I thought I'd bring you guys a special video that talks to you all about how I make my clear envelope sinking funds. So these are the envelopes that we'll be making. These are hole punched for my planner. And then also I will be making one of these little cash envelopes that I carry inside of my key holder. If you haven't seen one of my previous cash stuffing videos, check it out because that's where I show you my key holder where this actually sits inside and I'm able to carry my cash envelopes around with me without actually having a wallet. First, before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody that has been subscribing to my channel, all the new subscribers, welcome. All the old tried and trues, thank you for being here with me. And I just really appreciate all the love and support on my last video, which was cash stuffing my tax return. I really appreciate all the views, all the comments, all the likes, all the secret emojis put down in the comment section. It just warmed my heart. And I really want to say thank you for that. And as a gift of gratitude, I do want to do a giveaway, and I will be announcing the giveaway rules in my very next cash stuffing video. And that should be coming out very shortly. So stay tuned for those details because I'm going to be giving away some placeholders like the $1,000 slips, the $100 slips, as well as possibly a set of cash envelopes. Let's get into how I actually made these. There are only a few things that you need in order to make these. And before we get into the details of how we make them, let's go over all the pieces you'll need. The first thing you'll need is labels. Now, I printed my labels on a computer, but you don't have to have a printer in order to do this. You can just get some sticker labels and then handwrite the categories for your sinking funds on those labels. The next thing you need will be laminating sheets. So you need the laminating sheets. These are just standard ones. I purchased mine at Amazon. They came like 100 per sheet. You need 2 sheets to make 3 full-size sinking fund envelopes if you're going to put them inside of a planner. The next tool you'll need would just be a basic pair of scissors. Nothing too special. Any scissors will work. You also need a paper cutter, but you just need a paper cutter that has measurements so that you can cut the paper to a specific size. And then you need a laminating machine. Now, I do have one placeholder $1,000 bill here, and that's because I want to give you the measurements of the bill, which is these exact measurements. So knowing what the measurements are for the bill, we know that we have to have an envelope that at least will fit that size within the folder, right? So that's how we gauge how big the folder should be or the cash sinking fund should be. All right, so let's get started. The first thing you need to do is use the scissors and cut out the labels if you're printing them, but if you're just going to use stickers, you don't need to do this step. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to be doing just 3. I have this template saved at work, and I probably can include it down below. It's not anything fancy, you guys, okay, because I'm not that good at making fancy templates at this time. I'm working on it, but for this particular template, it's just something that a coworker helped me do. I kind of had a vision of what I wanted my envelopes to look like. I created this simple template, and so I'm just cutting around the borders of the labels that I want. That's the first step. You'll also need a hole punch, something like this. This is an adjustable hole punch that I got on Amazon. And I don't know if you can see inside, but it does have different measurements for different size planners. So if you have an A5, a personal or desk fax, A6, or a pocket mini, you can adjust the sizes accordingly and make the holes fit whatever size binder you have if you do want to punch holes in yours. So that's the other thing that you'll need. All right, so now that we cut out all of the small pieces, they look like this. They don't have to be perfect. I'm going to be making 3 sinking fund envelopes, and I'm also gonna make one cash envelope, which is for giving. Because I've realized as I'm giving money, sometimes I just need a little bit of cash to hand to the person on the street, and I don't want to carry it in my own folder and get it confused, my own cash envelope. So if I have another little small cash envelope just for giving, I can reach down in there and give someone some cash when needed. And I'll probably carry no more than like maybe $50 or so in there. So this is a little small giving one. So once you have them all cut out, you can sit those to the side and we're gonna start measuring. I'm gonna move this laminating machine because we don't need that step right now, and we also don't need the hole punch. Our next step is gonna be to cut one sheet of laminating paper. Now, for laminating paper, it has shiny sides. Both sides on the outside are shiny, and then the inside is both dull paper. They're dull on this side. The dull pages stick to each other when they're ran through the laminating machine. So that's an important fact to remember because that's gonna affect how we actually make these envelopes. These borders are rounded and I don't like the envelopes to be rounded. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is slide it in here. I'm going to cut off just the end tiny bit of the edges, which is like this. And that just takes off the rounded edges of the laminating sheet. So now it's perfectly square on the ends like this, on the corners. Okay, so now that we got the edge cut off of the end and it's nice and square instead of being rounded, we'll put this into the cutter and we're gonna cut it 3 inches long. So you're gonna line it up with the 3-inch line and you're gonna cut. That's gonna be one. Do it again, off the same sheet, 3 inches, line it up, and cut. And the final time, you can get 3 of these off of one sheet, you go to 3 inches again, and you cut. Oh, well, sometimes this cutter, gotta cut it at extra time. All right, there we go. All right, so now that we have all of these 3, we also need to make them shorter. And so in order to do that, we do 6 3/4. So we're gonna make them dimensions 6 3/4 and cut off this small end. You know, when I was making these the first time, I was wishing that these would be big enough to hold a half of a bill, but they're just too tiny. So this is all considered scraps from one sheet. So we don't need that. And these will be our cash envelopes. This portion of the sinking fund is what we're working on now, and we'll add this little extender piece later if needed. So you have 3 of these little portions, and in order to, if we laminated them this way, doink, through the machine, then the pages would stick together because again, the dull side sticks to the dull side. So what we're gonna do is basically flip it inside out. We put the 2 shiny sides together, they will never stick together, and the dull sides are gonna go on the outside. And we're gonna do that again. Flip these inside out. That's number 2. And see the difference between this shiny one and this dull one. These 2 are totally different. We're gonna flip this one inside out as well. All right, so now you have your 3 sheets that are gonna be the envelopes, dull side facing out. Let's think this through, because this is important to know. If we put this dull side at the top of this, face down on this dull side, it will stick to this, but the inside parts will not stick together because they're shiny. So we need to place these so that we can have enough space to cut extra border for the hole punching. So we have the sheet like this. We're gonna make sure they're perfectly lined up together, and we're gonna lay them here towards the middle. The edges don't so much matter because we're gonna cut this off, but we do need a border at the base. So this is the envelope and this is the base, kind of like this. This is the envelope and we need space for this extra little 3/4 of an inch area. And now we're gonna take another one and put it close to the other one in the middle, and that 3/4 of an inch is going to be on this side. So I'm going to scoot them down just a little bit because this side seems to have more space. So I'm going to scoot them about right here. And then we're going to put the third one right here. And that will be the extra space here for the holes. So now that we have 3 of them placed, I like to place the labels on there. So this one, if it's going to be hole punched here, it needs to face that way. And this one will be facing this way because it's going to be hole punched here. This one, however, should be facing this way. And they're not perfectly centered, but I mean, you can take the time to measure if you like. I just place them on there. It's going to be hole punched that way, so it should be facing that way. And then we close it. And we run this through the laminator. So that's the next step. Let me plug it up. So now that I plugged it up, we're just waiting. It's on and it's warming. Once it gets warmed, it'll turn on to ready. Once that light comes on, we'll feed the paper through, and then I'll show you how we cut it and hole punch it, and we're all done. Okay, now that the light has come on, we're ready to feed it through. We just want to make sure that all of the pages are perfectly lined up, and if they are out of line, then just straighten them out before you put it in. This laminator I got at Amazon, and I do find that it sometimes feeds the paper in crooked, and sometimes I've had to remake them because it pulls it in a little bit off, and it might be the way that I'm feeding it. I don't know if you can tell, but it's buckling right here. Luckily, some of that's gonna get cut off. Let's just hope that we can salvage these and make it perfect. I think I wanna invest in a higher end laminator. For right now, this works out for what I'm doing. All right, let me turn the laminator off and get it out of the way. Okay, so once it comes out, it looks like this. And what we need to do now is cut it so that the envelopes are open. So the first thing we're gonna do is cut down this center right here, down this seam. And we'll cut down this seam. All right, so these are the beginnings of the envelopes, and I'm sure you can see it now. We need to cut off the edge here and here so that they fit. So we'll work on this one first. I try to get pretty close to the edge without actually cutting it, because if you cut it, it's gonna open up, right? Because there's nothing inside that's holding those two pieces together. So you cut this. There's that one. And then you cut the very top of this to open the envelope up. Right now it's sealed. So right where that envelope starts, you cut the very top of it to open it up. You can do this part with the paper cutter as well. I just like the scissors. And there's the folder. It's open now. This is one of the placeholder $100 slips. It would go directly into here, like this. And that's the folder. Now we still need to work on this area right here, and I'll show you how to do that. But first, let me go ahead and finish these other ones up. Taking the littlest, thinnest little piece off the top, just enough to open the envelope up. And there they are. All right, once you have all those, see how they're different sizes? I like to turn them upside down this way so they'll all be exactly the same. And then we only want this cut 3/4 of an inch. So let's bring the cutter back over. For this, I do use the cutting machine because I need a ruler. 3 3/4. I make sure it's pretty lined up and cut off any extras. The final step is just to hole punch them. The Sinking Fund wallet that I'm using is from Amazon, and it is a personal desk fax size planner. So that was by trial and error that I had to figure that out, but I got it figured out. And so mine is set with these little notches in here. You can move them over to where it is, but mine is already set to the one that says personal desk fax. And I'll bring it in closer so you can see. So now that it's already set to that, all we have to do is hole punch these. And I'm gonna go ahead and stuff these now because I do have some envelopes. Let me get all this out the way. I'm gonna put my Christmas one back, first of all. Goes this way. So Christmas was behind birthdays. That's my real envelope. And then I'm gonna flip back here until I get to the new ones that I needed to make. Oh, I didn't make one for myself. I still need to do this one. I'll do that one later. But I did do one for investments, emergency, and hardwood floors. But for right now, we'll go ahead and put investments in, emergency fund in, and hardwood floors. Now, hardwood floors, I'm gonna be stuffing with my state income tax. Emergency fund is here. I had it here inside of this one. If you saw my last video, if you didn't, I'll link it above, but it was my tax return, and I had $1,000 that I was putting into my emergency fund so I can move it into my new cash envelope. And there it is. Investments, I had $500 in investments that I stuffed so that I can start investing. It's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 worth of placeholders because I'm gonna be moving this money to Charles Schwab, and that goes into the investment folder. We kind of do the same thing in order to make the little cash envelopes. However, we're making them half the size. And it still needs to be 3 inches tall because that's the size of a bill, but the length is gonna be shorter. We're gonna cut off the edges first because I want it to be a square on the end and not rounded. I have loved the tiny ones the most because carrying them in my wallet has been just a time saver for me. So we're gonna line it up with the 3-inch mark. And then we hold it down, cut that. All right, now that we got it cut this way, so last time we went to 6 3/4. This time I'm gonna go to 3 1/2. And we cut. And this is gonna be our small cash folder, just like the other ones that we did. Now what we need to do is put this one in a laminating sheet. If you're only making one, you really can use the same laminating sheet that you had. And before you laminate it and put it inside, don't forget to flip it around. I can't tell you when I first made these, how many times I forgot to flip it inside out. And when I cut it open, it wouldn't open. And I was like, what is going on with this thing? Why won't it open? This one isn't gonna need a border. If you notice, we're not hole punching anything because we're carrying it actually in our purse. So it doesn't matter which direction you put, as long as either this facing way for the label, or you can face it the opposite way, if that makes sense. If you face it this way, the bill won't fit because the width is not big enough. So face it this way. It's gonna be a giving one. Close it up. Next step, turn on the laminator. So this is what I'm talking about this laminating machine. It crinkled this corner. Luckily that doesn't matter because we only need this little square that's in the middle. But if this would have been one of the sinking fund envelopes and this was the extra space that we needed to hole punch, it could have made a big difference. So I'm thinking about investing in a different laminating machine that's not catching so much. But for right now, let me show you how you cut these. You do it the exact same way as you did the sinking fund envelopes, except you leave no border. So we're trying to get as close to this edge as possible without cutting into it because it will open the envelope on the side. The only thing we need to do is slice it open to open up the top. I found that when it's this wide, sometimes it causes it not to fit inside my binder. So I am gonna go a little lower just to cut it. I don't have exact measurements, but about like that. Fold it in half. This is the play money, just to give you an idea. Open it up and stick the bill down in there. And there we go. And this little wallet fits perfectly inside of this little key holder that I also got on Amazon. Let's see. I already have some in here, but it would fit down in here like this. And then you just close it and you're able to zip it up. All right, so I think we went over how to make the small cash envelopes for your key holder. We went over how to make the sinking fund envelopes for your binder with the hole punches. And I think that's everything that I have for this video. Like I said, stay tuned for the next cash stuffing video that I'm gonna bring to you because I will be doing a giveaway with some of the 1,000 slips as well as some of the 100 slips. If you made it all the way to the end of this particular video, leave this emoji in the comment section. Yes, 1 envelope. Leave that in the comment section just to let me know that you made it all the way to the end. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel to be recommended to other people who might need this information as well. All right, take care.